So I'm not an NF stan. I'm an NF fan. I like his music. I really like his music, but I wouldn't say that I'm the type of person to get triggered by someone who says that NF isn't that good, NF's not a Christian or anything like that. It bothers me, sure, but this triggered me almost to the point where it makes me feel like I'm an NF stan when I'm not. And what triggered me was Anthony Fantano's reaction to NF's latest single, Hope. Now, at the time of this recording, NF's about to drop his second single, Motto. So check that out when it comes out. But, I'm really disappointed in Anthony Fantano. If you don't know who Anthony Fantano is, he's the internet's busiest music nerd. And anybody who knows anything about music reviews or anything like that knows who Fantano is. He drops infamous reviews on Logic, on Chance the Rapper's The Big Day, Justin Bieber, his most infamous My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which he gave a 6 out of 10, which is way too low for me. It's not a 10 out of 10 album, but it's definitely not a 6 out of 10 either. Over the years, Fantano's dropped a lot of music reviews, right? And there have been so many of them I don't agree with. His music taste and my music taste are both very obviously different. What he would call mainstream or lazy and unimaginative or uninspired, I would sometimes call pretty good and great. Sometimes, though, our reviews, they align and we end up liking the same stuff. I love Kids See Ghosts, so yeah, they sometimes align, but this time it's gone too far. Anthony Fantano, when reacting to Hope by NF, called it overproduced and not good, which that gets me upset. Because when you think about what this man has reviewed and what he has given a 10 out of 10, overproduced, he's given the Death Grips album a 10 out of 10. That was an album that his favorite track, which I'm not going to repeat because I don't like cussing on this channel, it's literally the most...
There's good in all people. There's good in all people.
It is the single-handedly worst song I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm not joking. There's no artistic value in that song. There's nothing worth saying in that song. It's literally just a man yapping into the mic while a bunch of different sounds go off, and you're calling that music. I've always thought that Anthony Fantano's music opinions are very elitist. He has this kind of arrogant, I'm only right, my music opinion is the only one that matters. If you disagree with me or if your opinion is different, like, you are immediately lower than me. He has this very my opinion is objective when music is in fact subjective opinion. I'm not saying he has to like NF's Hope or even like, for example, a major music opinion I disagree with is that he gave Justin Bieber's Purpose a 5. A 5. It's no secret that I'm a huge Justin Bieber fan, but a 5, at least for Fantano standards, give it a 7. A 5 though? Okay, though I digress. A lot of the times, Anthony Fantano's favorite songs seems to be just like, he calls them psychedelic songs, but it's just very chaotic. It's just noises happening. It's not something that would be entertaining to listen to, not even entertaining to think about. I listened to the Death Grips album after Fantano's glowing 10 out of 10 review, and guess what? It was garbage. Not that good. The point is that Anthony Fantano takes a song like Hope, which actually has lyrical, important subject material, and says that it's terrible. This is a man who is finally facing his demons and saying that he's holding on to hope, and this is what Fantano has to say about that.
My album. Standing up for what you know is right while everybody else is tucking their tail between their legs.
Why does it have to be so melodramatic? Why do we have to be so melodramatic? That's all I gotta say. Why's it gotta be so melodramatic? Melanie Martinez ass beat. That's all I gotta say.
It's this type of smug, almost like I said before, elitist music opinion behavior that Fantano has that just has gotten me sick for years from watching. And you know what? Like, I'm totally okay with it. There are some tracks on The Big Day I like. There are some tracks on Changes I like. He calls both of those albums no good or zeros. Like, that's totally okay with me. He has the right to do that. It's his opinion. I respect it. But when you take an album like Death Grip's Money Store and say it's a 10 out of 10, and then look at something like NF's Hope and say, like, it's not good, there's a problem. Because that ain't adding up. The math ain't mathin' here. You know how some people say that sometimes art, especially art critics, they like to look at what a toddler would finger paint and say, oh, this is a work of art, this is a masterpiece. That's what Anthony Fantano does sometimes. He looks at something that normal people would be like, this isn't that good. It sounds not smart. And Anthony's like,
You don't see the art in that? This is the best thing I've ever heard.
it's like, come on, bro. Like, at least give it some, oh, wow. It's supposed to be cinematic, literally in the final verse. It always gives me goosebumps whenever I hear it. This battle between NF and his demons, literally the fear talking, the insecurities, the you'll never evolve, you'll never change. I'm taking the, and while the demon says, no, and he goes, I'm taking the reins, and the song ends, it never fails to give me goosebumps. And throughout the song, you can hear this, let me introduce you to my album, Hope's Talking. That's Hope talking. Let me introduce you to my album, because what they've been doing, it hasn't been working out for Nate personally. It hasn't been helping him on a personal level. It hasn't been helping him grow in his life. And so Hope's talking and saying, let me introduce you to my album. We're going to do something different. And you hear Fear in the back going, no. Like, this is artistic, cinematic stuff. And Anthony just goes, not good? This man, like I said, I don't often get triggered by stuff. Anthony has said stuff to me that is almost blasphemous, and I don't even care that he has. He can say what he wants, but I don't know. I'm drawing the line here. I don't like it. I know I'm a small reviewer. What I say probably doesn't matter, and he has much superior, and I have L takes or whatnot. I don't care. It's just, he needs to be called out on this, and I want to see if there are more people who agree with me that his opinions, most of the times, I'm just going to be honest, he has an ear. I don't deny that, but he is lacking on a bunch of opinions, on a bunch of them. Even I just saw this video a while ago, listening to each of Anthony Fantano's zeros. And the guy listened to every single zero, and every single zero, like, most of them, I agree with Anthony. Like, okay, they're zeros, they're not that good. Except for The Big Day. Chance the Rapper's The Big Day, which is by no means a good album. I straight up admit that. It's not a good album. It's kind of an annoying album. It has misses, definitely a lot of misses. I can personally go through, like, 7 of the tracks. But if you're going to take something like, for example, the intro track, All Day, and say that objectively there is nothing good on the entire album, and say All Day is included in that, it's not good, I don't know. That track gives me some old Chance the Rapper vibes with an updated production, and yeah, it has a few corny bars there, but, like, that's the point. It's fun. Back to the video, though. The guy listened to the entire album, and he said, out of all of the zero albums that I listened to, The Big Day was, like, I don't think it was a zero. It wasn't good, but it's not a zero, and I'm like, thank you! That's what I've been saying this whole time. He's like, I was at least able to add All Day to my library. Because it's corny, but he's like, it's fun. And I'm like, thank you. This guy's saying what I'm thinking. I would say the last problem I have with Anthony Fantano is, like, this guy doesn't make music. At least from what I have heard. Anthony Fantano doesn't make music. From what I've seen, he plays some bass, sure, so he might understand some of the things that go into music, but he's never made music, so that doesn't give him a right to just say, like, this album is worth nothing. There is no artistic credibility there, and that to me is wrong, which is why I don't give out zeros or, a project gets a 1 unless it's got to be really, really, really bad. I mean, I even gave Drake's Honestly Nevermind a 2.5 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. Because look, I give credit where credit's due. Like, you made an album. You at least worked. If you put more than an hour worth of hard work into this project, like, you're at least going to get a point. You know that phrase, points for trying? Yeah, points for trying. Not a 0. That's just, why would you give a 0 to something? And I know that for singles, Anthony Fantano doesn't give scores. That Hope didn't get a 0. He just said it wasn't a good song. And on his reaction to it, he criticized it. Just constant criticism. And him and his group, the thing is, his group of followers, they don't think for themselves. They don't. They just hear what he says. Like, I've seen it said as a joke online, but some people are like, oh, yay, Anthony Fantano dropped a review. Now I know what to think about this project. And it's like, are you telling me that you can't form an opinion without hearing Anthony Fantano? Like, I know this. When it comes to me and music, if my ears like it, my ears like it. And Anthony Fantano or Pitchfork or something like that, they're not going to change my mind. If they say that a certain album is absolute dog crap, like, and I like it, well, guess what? My ears enjoyed it, so there's some value in it. Don't give it nothing. Thank you for letting me rant. I was really, like I said, triggered by Anthony Fantano's reaction to Hope. Seeing NF's journey, his growth, is amazing. It's a story, and the fact that Anthony Fantano would immediately dismiss it is angering, because a lot of people take Anthony's opinions to heart, and they, like I said before, they don't think without Anthony. If Anthony tells them to go and take a drink of water, they'll do that. If he tells them to go a whole day without drinking water, guess what? They'll probably do that. So the fact that Anthony's just saying, like, oh, this NF single has nothing redeeming about it, like, shut up. Start to realize it's not easy to make music. And stop criticizing things so harshly. And I'm not saying you can't criticize things at all. Because then, if you can't criticize things at all, what is the job of a critic? And there's no honesty. And I can relate to that, because there are things I've heard that I don't like. But you know what? Like, immediately saying something gets a 0 or something gets a 1, completely, imagine if you made something and you put your heart and your soul into it, and then somebody just goes up to it and goes, yeah, I give that a 0. Nothing redeeming about it. That was a waste of space. Like, how are you gonna feel? And I've never been Mr. Defend people based on their feelings or this or that, but I don't know. Just, Anthony, your words have power. Please make sure to review things with the mind of the person you are reviewing. Don't say this has absolutely no value. So, like, see, the Death Grips album, I didn't like it at all. But there are people who probably do like it, like Mr. Fantano himself. And guess what? Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. Would I don't like it. I think it was trash. But would I give it a 0 if I was doing a thorough review on it? No, I'd be like, okay, you made an album. I mean, I liked this moment in it, and I liked that moment in it, and I'd find something to be positive about, and I'd be like, okay, that's a 2. I like this track, that's a 3. 3.5. But no, Mr. Fantano's got to be like, no, this album is complete and useless and worthless garbage. This single's not good. And here's the final point in all of this. You can think it's overproduced, but at least look at the lyrics. Is it telling a story, and actually an impressive story at that? It's giving us multiple characters in a song going back and forth. And yes, this is something we had in Intro 3, but this is a continuation of that story. It's not repeating something that happened in Intro 3. It's actually continuing a story. To me, that would be immediately worthy of some praise, some adoration. I'd be like, okay, that's impressive. But no, it's overproduced, right, Anthony? It's overproduced. Do better, Anthony. Do better.